Hi everyone, it's Leilani. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be working in my reading journal. So you might remember I do have a flip through from several months ago where I used a Heidi Swapp Storyline Chapters album and created a reading journal. Well, soon after that, I received this amazing Archer and Olive notebook from my friend Avatal, and I fell in love. And so I really wanted to redo my reading journal to be inside this notebook instead. So this is actually where I've been documenting everything throughout the last few months. So I started my journal in February, so I didn't read anything in January, so I just didn't worry about that month. And then I've been documenting everything over the past few months here. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to basically fill in everything for the month of July and also any other little gaps that I have in the journal that I have not done in the past couple months. So the first thing that I did off camera is I printed off all my book covers, all my photos, my journaling, everything like that I did before I turned the camera on so that it would be a lot easier. So I have all types of sizes and stuff that I print these off. So these are really small photos. I think they are 0.7 by maybe 1.1 inches. So they're pretty small, and this spread is obviously what I read, and it's just kind of a overview of all of the books that I've read so far this year. Then my second thing that I like to document every month is my favorite book from the month. So this month it was the book Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna McGuire, and it's a really cool fantasy type book of the Wayward Children series. So I think that there's like 8 or 9 of the books. They're really small, like maybe 180 pages each. So they're like tiny books, but they are so descriptive and so beautiful, and just a book that I have really enjoyed. So I put that down for my favorite book of the month. And then here I have my bookshelfie. So actually, my friend Brittany used these really cool bookshelf printables one time in her journal, and she had linked them. So I will do the same and link them below if you want to check these out. But I loved them because I don't have a lot of book stamps at all. So this was just a great way to already have like really cool bookshelfies, and I didn't have to, or a bookshelf, and I did not have to stamp anything myself. So some of these books are a little on the small side because I printed this off as like maybe a 5x7-ish, but it works out for me. I have them color coded. So the blue ones on the shelf are the books that I have listened to by audio. The yellow are the ones that I read like an ebook version, like on my Kindle, and the pink are the actual physical books that I've read. So we pop those in, and now it's time to do the actual like spread for the month. So every month I've been doing this the same. I've used the Honey and Spice Alpha stamps from Heidi Swapp, and I just kind of write out in the up and down case here whatever month stats. So I do that, and then I draw 3 boxes underneath, and that's where I keep up with the audio, ebook, and physical books that I read every month. And then I usually put an area where I can write my favorite book, write a little bit about that, my least favorite book, write a little bit about that, and then I tally up the number of pages that I have read throughout the month. So this is my first year doing a reading journal, and it's been really fun. I actually have not always been a huge reader. I mean, I've always been interested in books, and I definitely have favorite books that I have read over time. And as a kid and as an adult, I've been very into like Harry Potter books, and I've read those and listened to them multiple times throughout my life. And I've always enjoyed like reading a thriller every now and then. And I love audiobooks. So whenever I worked in an office, I read or listened to audiobooks all the time, but I wasn't consuming books in the way that I have been this year, which has been really fun. And I feel like with having a reading journal and also using Goodreads, that's been really fun as well. It's given me more of like a challenge to read a certain amount of books every month, and it's been just so fun to document them. So this month I did read 10 books altogether. So that includes, of course, audiobooks. I listened to 5 books. I read 2 on the Kindle, and I also read 3 physicals. So for me, my kind of goal is to try to hit 10 books a month. But if I don't hit that, that's totally fine. It's just kind of a random goal I've given myself. But with listening to a lot of audiobooks and also including graphic novels within the books that I am consuming every month, it's been easier for me to hit that goal or at least get right around that goal of 10 books. But this month I was able to do that. It was a really great reading month for me in both numbers and in what I read. I really enjoyed almost every single thing that I read, and nothing got lower than like a 3 star. So I felt like that was really good. So here I also typically use my Dymo label maker and to do the titles of fave, least, and then pages. And then I go on Goodreads and I just check how many pages each of the books have. And then I just tally them up and add that there to the bottom. Then you'll notice I like to sprinkle on a few stickers. Of course, I can't get away from the stickers. So actually in the very back of this Archer and Olive notebook, there is a pocket. And inside the pocket, I keep all of my little stickers that I use for each month. So it makes it really easy, really organized. And I love that. I can just grab everything and get going on documenting my books whenever I'm ready. So then on the right side of this spread, I will print off all of my book covers. So this is about I think it's a 1.5 by 2, maybe. Don't quote me on that, but it's a size, something like that. I have everything written in the back of the book as well, so I know what size to print everything off as. But I print off all my book covers and then I add them in over here to the right side. Also, my friend Carrie used these really cool rating star stickers from Etsy, so I will link those below as well. But whenever I saw her using those, I knew I had to grab them because they are so perfect for documenting anything like this, but especially documenting the books. And I love that they're a sticker and it's just easy. I don't have to color anything in. I don't have to try to stamp anything, and I really love them. So I've bought a lot of pages of these and I keep them handy so that I can just add them to the bottom of each one of my little book photos. And this is one of my favorite parts of reading the books is rating them at the end. So I'm not a very critical rater. I just try to kind of rate how I felt when I was reading it, if it made me happy, if it did all the things that I needed it to do. So this month I felt like I really got to read a lot of great books. So Bad Day for Sunshine was a fun, kind of more of a cozy mystery, as was Death on the Shelf. Death on the Shelf is the 5th one out of the haunted library mysteries that I've been reading. I also read a short story collection called Out There, which was, I gave it 3 stars just because I really liked some of the stories and didn't like some of the stories, but it was a fun, just kind of weird short story collection that was interesting. I also read the first 2 Paper Girl graphic novels, which was really fun. And also it's been adapted into a TV show on Amazon Prime. So that was super cool because I watched the first episode and, that was just really fun to be able to read. And then also I read 3 of the Wayward children's books. And like I said, they are just super good. I really enjoyed them. They're basically about a group of kids who find a magical doorway that leads to all different types of lands and worlds where they feel the most accepted. And then for some reason, all of these kids, for a different array of reasons, have been either kicked out or had to leave that world behind, and they really want to go back. So they're at this Wayward school for these kids, and they're always trying to find a doorway back into that world that they lived in. And so I think the books are going to kind of go back and forth between being like at the current world where they're at the school and then also going into some of the kids' worlds. So they were really great. My favorite was Down Among the Sticks and Bones, and that one was kind of a a story about two twins named Jack and Jill who really did not get along and were very different. But whenever they entered into this magical world, they finally felt like themselves. And the world was kind of scary. It had vampires and werewolves and all kinds of kind of freaky things. And it was a really great book. And like I said, they're really short, really easy to digest and get done. So I was able to mark 3 of those off my list this month as well. So as I've been chatting, we made it to the review section of my album here. So basically every month or just whenever I have a book that really stands out for me that I love, I will add it in here and write up a little review. So I actually had not done my reviews for the past couple months. So Comfort Me with Apples was a book that I wanted to write about, I think from May. And then Brazen was a book I wanted to write about from June. And then for July, I added in Paper Girls and then the first 2 in the Wayward Children series. So I had a lot of fun kind of filling this out. I did run into an issue, though, if you notice, whenever I was putting down the journaling there on the last book, the Every Heart a Doorway, on the previous page there, I messed up the journaling, so I have to go back and reprint it. And then also, just now, I was stamping on the book number, and this one on this page by itself should have been number 13, but I stamped number 12. So that was unfortunate. So here I'm just restamping, and I'm just going to cut it out of this white paper and add the 13 on top of the 12. You'll notice whenever I do that, it doesn't quite fit. So we will kind of come back to this issue here in a minute. We're going to move on. We're going to go work on something else, and then I will come back to this page here in a little bit, and we will correct our mistakes and all of that kind of good stuff. So then we're going to move on to the book club section of my journal here. So the first thing that I did was add on the book that we read this month for my Cozy Mystery Book Club over on Patreon. And then we're going to finish up the June spread that I never completed. So what my plan for the book club section is, at the top, we will stamp out the month. So I'm going to stamp out July, add a few of my little stickers, and then I've been taking a selfie with the book every, right before every book club meeting. So I thought that that would be a fun thing to just kind of add on here. And then I was going to put my just general thoughts about the book, like the overview of my thoughts about the book, and then also maybe make a couple notes about the book club meeting. And I also wanted to include the number of people in attendance at all of the meetings. And then on the right side, this paper that I'm adding on now is actually a little freebie that you get on Patreon. And basically, it's just a few questions that I've kind of compiled into a list here so that everyone will know kind of what we're going to be talking about throughout the meeting. So it's just a few questions from the book, just general observations and whatnot. And then we kind of go over those list of questions during our book club meeting. So I really have had fun with that, and I like to include it right into my album. So now we're back over to the review section. So I reprinted my journaling, and then I added on the 12 there on the other side. So then I just thought I'm going to pick this journaling up as well because half of the stamp was on it. And then I just added a little piece of white paper here to just cover up my boo-boo. You can kind of see it just a little bit, but definitely not enough to matter. And then I'm going to add my journaling back on, and then I will put my number 13 right on top, and it's that easy. So I love having these reviews finished because, like I said, I hadn't actually done my typed review for May or June. So it feels really good to just have all of those in there. And so with those reviews, I may not have any in a month, or I may just have 1, or I may have 4 like I did this month. So it totally just depends on the month of reading. So now we're popping back over to the book club discussion, and I thought that I would use my label maker again. So I decided to just spell out thoughts and meeting, and I'm just going to kind of add in a few little embellishments here, and then I'm just going to write my journaling. After I wrote everything, I ended up thinking it might have looked better being typed, but it's just so much easier to handwrite everything because I don't have to worry about typing things up and printing it out and all that kind of stuff. So I think it would have just looked nice with the typed journaling because on the right side, I have already a lot of handwriting there with the questions that I've answered. So on this side, just adding more handwriting is kind of a lot, but I feel like it works out good enough. So I added on my little titles here, and then I'm just using my colored marker to make some little lines. So I love that this Archer and Olive notebook is dotted because it makes it really easy to do my lines. So I don't use a ruler or anything, as y'all know. I just kind of freehand the line, but it just helps me to kind of stay on track and to not go, make it look too bad, but they're definitely not perfect lines, but I kind of like that look. I like the wonkiness of it. So that is where I'm going to, of course, add in my journaling. Also, you'll notice that sticker at the bottom. And if you saw the stack of books sticker on the previous page, those are some stickers that I created for my Patreon book club. And they've been kind of freebies that I've given out during the meeting. So that's been really fun as well. So down here by the meeting, I just decided to stamp in and use the black stamp to bring that back, just the number of people that attended the meeting. So that's just kind of a fun thing for me to see how many people showed up and everything. And so the first one had 12 and the second one had 11. So I felt like that was a really good amount of people for me. So I was excited about that. And then here, I just, like I said, added just the overview thoughts of the book and then my little bit of thoughts about the meeting. So we'll do a little flip through of all the things that we worked on today, but it just feels wonderful to have all of these things completed. And I love it whenever we finish up a month. And now I am completely ready for August. So I hope that y'all enjoyed this flip through, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, y'all.